Hey, hi, hello, welcome back, Fox64Bolt here. This video has been in the works for a few months now, so please take your time to watch all the way through, and if you feel that you like this video, please leave it a like, as that will help it get into the YouTube algorithm so that others will see it. Anyways, on with the video. So a while back I was watching this YouTuber by the name of Daniel Krafft, sorry if I butchered your name, and the video I was watching was called I redesigned Minecraft bosses in 3D software, where he redesigned the Wither and the Ender Dragon in 3D software. And I thought to myself, you know what, I should do that. So I did. So I did a little brainstorming as to which mob to redesign first, and thought of a perfect idea, the chicken. The chicken is a kind of iconic Minecraft mob, so I thought it'd be a perfect place to start. So first I started by just making a rough mesh of a chicken. Then I started to add some textures and tweak the dimensions a little bit so that it matched better. The textures showed up as blurry when in render mode in the viewport. However, I found out how to fix this. What you need to do is change the image interpolation on the image node from linear to closest, and that should fix it. I then proceeded to add the rest of the textures and change the scales of the model so that it looked like a regular Minecraft chicken, or close enough at least. Then I started to think about what I wanted the boss version to look like, so I went into Photoshop and started sketching. Please ignore my very bad art here, I am not a professional artist. So after that, I started to make the mesh for the boss in Blender, using the normal chicken as a base. Then once I had the general shape for the wings, I moved on to the legs. I wanted to go for an eagle kind of style with this, as I thought it'd be quite funny, a chicken as an eagle style boss, because chickens are generally quite weak. But yeah, once I had the general mesh down, I started to add textures. I also decided that the wings were a little too smooth, so I added a hair particle thingy to make it a bit rougher and add a bit more detail. Then I started to work on making the scene around the boss. I wanted to add some feathers shooting towards the prey, like there was in my original sketch, so I added a simple particle simulation. After rendering, I got this, the final result, and I thought it looked okay. I added a few more things after the time lapse, like the eyes glowing, but I think it worked. Now, for the next mob, I wanted to do a hostile mob this time, so I went for the blaze. This time I started by adding a HDRI and making it red like the nether, so that the lighting matched a bit nicer. Then after this, I started making the base mesh for the blaze and adding textures. This was pretty simple since a blaze is made of two main parts, the head and the blaze rods, so it didn't take me too long to make the normal blaze model. After this, I started to work on the boss version. I kind of knew how I wanted this one to turn out, so I didn't do a sketch for this one. Lucky for me, otherwise you would have seen more of my bad art. So I started by just making the head of the boss, since that is the main part of the blaze and the only real part of the body. So first I gave it a mouth and added some teeth. Then I started to texture it using textures from the actual blaze so that it matched and didn't feel out of place in terms of the colour scheme. After this, I duplicated the head and added two on the side, and then opened the mouth of the middle one so that it looked more menacing. I then started to work on adding the smoke particles that blazes have floating around them by using a particle simulation. I made the particles face the camera at all times and then moved on to trying to make the particles use random textures, as there are multiple textures for the smoke particles of varying sizes. This didn't work too well in the end, however it was a good learning experience and I will definitely try to get this to work another time. I have since had a better idea as to how to get it to work, but for now I will just add multiple models with different textures and set them into a collection, so the particle simulation can use a random one. I then started work on making the blaze rods move around the boss so that I didn't have to place each one manually. I then set it on fire. After that, I wanted to add a better background than that for the chicken, so I used Mineways to import a section of a Minecraft world. The first one didn't look too great, so then I hopped into Minecraft to find a better location. I just flew around the nether till I found one that looked interesting enough. I then cleaned it up and worked out the coordinates that I would need to use to import it so that I could not see the Blender void. I then used Mineways to find and import the area into Blender. I did this last as it is quite laggy once it's added due to the amount of vertices. After that I then scaled and positioned it into place so that the scale of the blazes matched the world. And here is the final render. All in all, I don't think this is the best it could have been. It seems way too bright and the blazes don't look like they are glowing, more so than they are just a very light colour. Now for the third and final mob to be turned into a boss, the Ghast. Now there wasn't much to work with here since it's a very simple design, but in my opinion this one turned out the best. So like before, I started by making a normal Ghast and adding the texture to it. This didn't take too long since it's a very simple design of just a cube. Then I started to work on the Ghast boss. For this, I took inspiration from the Ghast from Twilight Forest mod and this random drawing I found online. I wanted it to look very scary and old, so I gave it many arm tentacle thingies and an eyebrow looking thing. Don't quite know what it was, I just thought it looked cool. I then started to work on adding the textures. This was quite difficult as there are a lot of different faces and I had to decide what texture to give them. However, I think it worked out okay in the end. Whilst I just add other textures, I would just like to say that if you have any ideas as to what to make next time, to leave them in a comment below, and that if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and to check out my other content to see if I have earned your subscription, since only 2 people that watch my videos ever are subscribed. Okay, so after I made all the base textures, I started to work on the scene. I added another background with mind waves and changed all the image interpolation to closest, so that the textures were not blurry. And here it is. In my opinion, this is the best, and I might even try to add this as a modded boss sometime in the distant future if you really want me to. The only thing I don't really like is the texture I used for the arm things in the end, but it looks okay even with that. So I hope you enjoyed this. Here are the final renders. I will try to put a download link in the description if I remember. Don't forget to subscribe, and goodbye, see you next time.